Most people treat reading like a spectator sport, but your brain was designed to be a high-performance athlete. The reality is that the average person lives just 30,000 days, and spending those precious hours passively scanning pages you'll forget by tomorrow isn't just a waste of time, it's a tragedy. Imagine if you could bypass the biological firewall that deletes 90% of what you consume and actually install complex concepts directly into your long-term memory. This isn't about speed reading, it's about deep integration, using the same evolutionary mechanisms that allowed our ancestors to survive in a world where information meant the difference between life and death. The passive reading trap. Most of us approach a new book with what I call time blindness, assuming that the act of moving our eyes across a page is the same as learning. It's a beautifully ironic mistake. Your brain is a pattern-matching machine, and if it perceives an experience as routine, like reading the same genre or following the same intellectual path, it literally skips recording the moment to save energy. This is why weeks of reading can blur together like months of a commute you can't remember. To break this, you have to stop being a consumer and start being an architect of your own attention. Passive reading is like junk food for your neurons. It feels like you're doing something, but it offers zero nutrition for your future self. The secret to mastering complex subjects isn't found in the number of pages you turn, but in the intensity of the reps your social and cognitive muscles perform while you're engaged. The integration ritual. Before you even open a book, you need to establish a shutdown ritual for your current mental state. Most people try to jump from a high-stress workday into deep learning, but your brain is still running 20 different background programs that drain your decision-making power. You need a psychological trigger, a physical reset that tells your brain, work mode off, growth mode on. Once you've cleared the space, implement the 90-minute focus cycle. Your brain doesn't work in a flat line. It follows a natural curve of energy. Trying to force a 4-hour study session is like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips through. Instead, break your session into power blocks. Decompression, 5 minutes of mindfulness to hit the reset button. The deep dive, 60 minutes of high-intensity interaction. The connection, 25 minutes of cross-pollination, where you link what you just read to something you already know. Active recall and the teacher effect. The hardest truth of learning is that the harder you try to remember, the more the information eludes you. This is the effort paradox. To truly download data, you have to stop trying to push it in and start trying to pull it out. This is where the teacher effect comes in. The moment you struggle to explain a concept to someone else, your brain is forced to understand it at a cellular level. Don't wait until you're an expert to teach. Your struggles make you a better teacher because you still remember what was confusing. Use micro-habit stacking here. After every chapter, take 10 seconds to name the core emotion or insight you just encountered. This simple act of naming reduces the power of the confusion and anchors the information in your prefrontal cortex. If you can't explain it in 30 seconds, you haven't downloaded the data. You've just rented it. Syntopic fusion, the adjacent possible. Deep reading isn't about mastering one book. It's about finding the adjacent possible between multiple sources. This is syntopic reading. When you read 3 different books on the same subject, you're not just gathering facts. You're building a knowledge sanctuary in your mind. Knowledge is just knowing a tomato is a fruit, but understanding, real power, is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. Use second-order thinking by asking not just what the author is saying, but what happens after those ideas are applied. This creates a multi-dimensional network in your brain, making the information anti-fragile. Just as your muscles grow stronger from the stress of a workout, your intellectual framework becomes more robust when you force it to reconcile conflicting perspectives. The biological port, energy management. You have to realize that your morning self and your evening self are 2 different people with different cognitive capacities. Your brain has a finite amount of decision-making fuel, and by the end of the day, you're running on fumes. This is why you should never tackle the most complex, vital 20% of your reading when you're exhausted. Design your environment to make deep reading automatic. If your phone is in the room, it's an energy vampire, quietly draining your potential for focus. Put your devices in another room and create an analog hour. Your bedroom should be a sanctuary for transformation, not a satellite office for your digital noise. Finally, never underestimate the night shift crew in your brain. While you sleep, your brain physically shrinks to allow cerebrospinal fluid to wash away the metabolic waste of the day. This is when your short-term downloads are hard-coded into long-term drives. One night of poor sleep leaves your mental office cluttered, making it impossible to retrieve the data you worked so hard to acquire.
The compound effect of knowledge. Success in deep reading isn't a sprint. It's compound interest for your life. If you get 1% better at these techniques every day, you will be 37 times more effective in a year. We often overestimate what we can do in a day, but we massively underestimate the transformation that occurs when we consistently stack small, intentional choices. Stop trying to find yourself in books and start creating yourself through them. Use context banking to store these insights, creating permission structures to revisit and apply them in your real life. Every conversation you have, every problem you solve, is a chance to use the data you've downloaded. The ultimate cheat code to a fulfilled life is simple. Accept that you can't control the ocean of information, but you can master the ride. The obstacle isn't the complexity of the subject. The obstacle is your own resistance to the process. True mastery comes from the realization that you are not a passive observer of your past, but the active editor of your future story. The tools are now in your hands, ready to emerge exactly when they're required. Start by choosing just one technique, maybe the shutdown ritual or the 90-minute block, and practice it deliberately for 1 week. Notice the shift in how much you retain. If you're ready to stop wasting your hours and start building a more intentional, high-leverage life, hit that subscribe button and join our community of like-minded builders. Now, go take that first step. Your future self is waiting.